Hey everybody, it's John again with Damn Straight Media. I hope you guys are doing well, and we are going to do another episode of Damn Straight Political Commentary. Welcome. It's good to see everybody, and it is good to be seen. So we got several subjects here. Today we're going to talk about Trump firing the FBI DC field office head David Sundberg. We are going to discuss the Kash Patel hearing. That heated up the other day with Cory Booker as well as Senator Moody out of Florida. And last on the agenda is Governor Pritzker of Illinois. He is going batshit crazy right now. You know, uh, you know as well as I do that with the new administration coming in, that there are going to be as many holdovers as possible in Washington D.C. Now I know Trump is he's got the sledgehammer out. The guy's on a warpath, and he's got the machete out. He's cutting. But here's the problem with Washington D.C. I don't liken Washington D.C. to a swamp any longer, and I haven't in quite a while. Um, I have talked about this before. Swamps. To some degree, as dirty as they are, I mean, there's frogs, there's snakes, and stuff like that. There's unsavory things in a swamp, but at least a swamp can support life around it. Me personally, I believe that DC is more like a septic tank. The only, the only thing that the septic tank supports, or the only life that it supports, is bacteria. And that's pretty much what you have in Washington, D.C. A lot of bacteria. It is almost impossible to remove all bacteria. When you wash your hands, when you use hand sanitizer, it is virtually impossible to get rid of it all. Um, and that is why I liken DC to more of a septic tank than a swamp. Um, but here's hoping that Trump can bring it back to swamp status. At least it will support life, maybe even better than swamp status. But like I said, he is on a warpath right now. And this fella, Sundberg was fired, as I mentioned earlier. He was the January 6th lead investigator for the FBI, and he was also the guy that investigated the D.C. pipe bomber, the fellow that planted the pipe bombs either the night before or a couple days before. Nobody's really sure, but I can tell you right now, the FBI, the DOJ, they know exactly who this guy is. I mean, they'll sit here and tell you, oh, we don't know, his face was covered up, all that shit. Listen, the FBI, the DOJ, the federal government has the technology to find a wart on a flea's ass at 1,000 miles. And you're telling me that they can't figure out who that pipe bomber is? They know damn well who it was because he was an agent. There's no question. Um, Now, they would have you believe that they don't know who this guy is, but it's like I said, it's bullshit. In addition to these terminations, it looks like 25 special agents were given the same ultimatum that Sundberg was given. He was told, you either resign or we are going to shit can you, and he took the shit can option, and it looks like 25 special agents were also going to take that shit can option. In addition to these terminations, it looks like Acting Director Brian Driscoll has confirmed that each field office is to provide a list of any and all FBI agents involved in the prosecutions or investigations of January 6 defendants. That is current and former. And not only just FBI agents, we're talking about FBI prosecutors, lawyers, and so on. So they have to provide lists. And I tell you right now, this and we're going to get into why we're right now the Kash Patel hearings for FBI director. These two things are tied in pretty tightly. But during the FBI director hearings, it was revealed by former Florida Attorney General. She is now Senator Ashley Moody. She is a freshman senator. And the investigation that Florida put on, because the crime actually happened in Florida, that was hampered by the FBI and the DOJ. Moody claims that she actually got so frustrated she wound up having to sue the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland because they wouldn't give up any information. Now, you cannot tell me that the federal government was not involved in both assassination attempts. There's just too much coincidence. And why would the DOJ and the FBI not want to have or not want to share information with the state of Florida? It's because they're trying to cover shit up. They don't want people to know that they were involved in it. You can't tell me. You can't. There's just so much coincidence there. You cannot tell me that they weren't involved. Look at the investigation right after the Pennsylvania attempt on Trump's life. The crime scene where that guy was shot, allegedly shot, I'm going to say, and I'll tell you why I say allegedly. But that entire area was cleaned up. Nobody was allowed in to see where that guy was killed by the FBI sniper rifle or whoever it was that shot him. The reality is there were people who said that the blood splattering of that sniper rifle's bullet, the blood spattering from it was not consistent with a kill shot. Me personally, this is the conspiracy theorist in me. I believe that the guy was not killed. I believe it was a setup. And I believe that he's probably somewhere in some kind of witness protection program out in the middle of nowhere. Who the hell knows? But that's just me. I believe that. Not only that, but the shooter was in plain sight that day. The FBI, they were sitting on top of those rooftops just a few hundred yards away. They had a clear line of sight to that guy. And he was, and they were even people in the crowd. There's a shooter on the roof. There's a shooter on the roof, and nobody did a damn thing until the guy was allowed to rattle off 8 or 10 shots, I believe it was. So all of that to me, it just tells me that the guy was, or that the FBI was involved in all of it. Now, Cory Booker attempted to actually be smarter or act like he was smarter than your average bear. And we are going to listen to some of the testimony and the questioning that he gave to Patel here. Listen up.
Senator Booker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm struggling with a bit of the flu here, but thought it was really important to come in.
Doesn't it sound like he has a flu?
Yeah, it's been pretty rough, but I appreciate the time. And Mr. Patel, if I can jump right in, 12 prosecutors, career prosecutors, were involved in an investigation prosecuting the cases against President Trump and were recently fired. Some of those that were involved in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Do you know who Brett Reynolds is?
Maybe, but it doesn't ring a bell at this point.
So you're under oath. You have no recollection of who Brett Reynolds is?
If you could provide me with a little more context, I could possibly remember.
Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
Senator, just to be clear, I did not participate in any of those DOJ decisions.
Sir, that's a yes or no question. Are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with Trump investigations?
I'm not aware of that,
Thank you.
Senator.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees.
There is no evidence of wrongdoing by FBI employees. That is according to the left. That's according to the FBI. That's according to Christopher Wray. That's according to Merrick Garland's DOJ. That is according to the entire left-hand side of the aisle, that there was no wrongdoing. None of it has ever been investigated. The only wrongdoing that was possibly out there, according to the left, was Donald Trump and the January 6th political prisoners. That, according to the FBI, those are the people who were guilty of wrongdoing. Nobody in the FBI is guilty of any wrongdoing, according to the left, according to Cory Booker. You see what they're doing here. This is they're setting this whole thing up because they know exactly what's coming. So,
involved in these investigations. If you do pursue investigations of those involved, will you commit to using standard processes, including a standard review by the FBI Inspections Division and the Inspector General?
Senator, I will honor all of those review processes.
You will honor those review processes?
Yes, Senator.
that's what he said.
If these are actions that the FBI employees, if there are actions against FBI employees that do not follow those standards process that happen before you get in, will you commit to reversing any decision prior to your arrival so that those standard processes and the standard review by the FBI Inspections Division will take place?
I don't know what's going on right now over there, but I'm committed to you, Senator, and your colleagues that I will honor the internal review process of the FBI.
Have you made any commitments to anyone about pursuing any investigations or targets if you are FBI director?
Only violent criminals and terrorists.
Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Only following the Constitution.
Again,
Only following the Constitution, and that is where the left is. They're scared to death of this whole thing because they know goddamn well that the FBI and the DOJ, there are some very unsavory and people that work within those organizations, and I can tell you right now, laws have been broken. And it's great that Kash Patel said only according to the Constitution. That is what scares the hell out of the left here. I'm telling you right now, Kash Patel is coming, Trump is coming, Pam Bondi is coming. Get ready, folks.
are you certain?
That I've told people on the
Are you certain? Have you had any conversations with anyone on the transition team about pursuing any investigations or targets?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, I've only said I will use the Constitution.
Have you discussed specific investigations or targets you would pursue as FBI director with the President of the United States?
Senator, to the best of my recollection, no.
Are you certain?
To the best of my recollection, no.
According to public reports, you were subpoenaed by the federal prosecutors to testify as a witness before the grand jury investigation investigating the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. And you testified before the grand jury, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you were before the grand jury, you pled the fifth on the basis of self-incrimination, correct?
I utilized my constitutional rights during that process with the advice and consent of counsel and appeared before that grand jury.
I will take that as a yes. And you are familiar, I imagine, with section...
Like the left has never used the Fifth Amendment so that they don't incriminate themselves. Look at Lois Lerner, for God's sake. She did it. There's a shit ton of people on the left who have used the Fifth Amendment. All of a sudden, it's taboo now. Cory Booker, oh, it's taboo. Oh, you took the Fifth Amendment. You're a criminal. Guy's an asshole.
In 6002 of Title 18.
Off the top of my head, Senator, not...
Well, Section 6002 is the immunity statute. Whenever a witness...
Now, I want to bring this up because he's talking about the immunity statute, and Cory Booker is acting as if he knows the law inside and out, when the reality is he probably had one of his assistants there, one of those Senate assistants, look it up so he can read it verbatim. He doesn't know jack shit about this stuff. He's full of shit.
This refuses to testify or provide other information before a grand jury based upon the privilege against self-incrimination. The court order the witness to testify. The witness must comply with the order, but they receive immunity, which means that no testimony or any other information provided before the grand jury can be used against them in any criminal proceeding. You were compelled to testify as a witness in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case. Did you participate in any criminal conduct involved in that case?
Involved in which, the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case?
Yes.
No, I testified through compulsion by court order.
You received immunity for providing information that was self-incriminating. Do you remember the name of the prosecutor who questioned you?
There were multiple, Senator. I do not.
Was it one of the people, were any of them people that were fired this past week?
I have no idea, Senator.
Are you certain? You're under oath.
I'm aware that I'm under oath, Senator, and I have no idea, and I did not participate in the removal of any DOJ prosecutor.
What was the information you provided that you received immunity for?
Senator, I would love my grand jury testimony to be released, but as you know, that grand jury testimony has been sealed by the Department of Justice.
This is where it gets heated. This is great.
And I'm not allowed to discuss it here.
Well, I find it troubling that you do not know the law here.
Oh, I find it troubling. It's as if Mr. Booker does know the law. The only reason he knows it is because he had one of his fucking aides find it so he could read it. Asshole.
And let me tell you what the law is.
Ooh, let me tell you what the law
Rule 6
is.
governs grand jury proceedings. Under Rule 6E, grand jurors, court reporters, and prosecutors are bound to secrecy. But witnesses are not bound by secrecy. You were a witness in the classified documents case. You were not bound by secrecy. You can tell us everything that happened in that room and everything you testified about. I'll ask you again, what information did you provide to the grand jury?
In this we are agreement, Senator. Get my grand jury testimony. I want it made public. I asked the Department of Justice to make it public, and they refused to do so.
There's no legal bound against you telling us right now what you testified to.
When I asked for my transcript to be released,
sir, did you or did you not commit a crime?
Senator, I did not commit a crime.
Then why won't you tell us what you testified to?
Because it occurred over the course of 3 weeks. I don't have.
It occurred over the course of 3 weeks. Cory Booker is attempting to get him, and Patel is just way too smart. But at the end of this thing, I'm not going to listen to the whole thing, but at the very end of it, Cory Booker attempts to get him to answer another question, and his time runs out. And the chair says to Patel, do you want to answer the question? And Patel just says, no, we can move on because his time was over. It's done. And you could almost, they didn't pan over to Cory Booker, but you can almost, you just know he was seething with anger. I can just imagine the look on his face like, oh, that little son of a bitch. You could just feel the tension in the air. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. I loved it. Last on the agenda here is Governor Pritzker. So it appears that Pritzker has signed an order that will deny employment for any and all January 6 political prisoners who have been pardoned by Trump. Now, this has to do with felonies, and if I'm not mistaken, most of these people, I don't even know that anybody was charged with a felony. I think most of them were charged with misdemeanors, and they were sent away to prison for years, quite frankly. This is not legal. He's not allowed to do this kind of stuff. But the fat ass Pritzker, he seems to be backing himself right into a corner. It is brilliant to watch. The state. So the state currently does not discriminate against prior felons who have been released or pardoned at the federal or state level. Pritzker is trying to keep this one segment of prior convicts. Not some of them were never even convicted. There were some people who were sitting in that gulag without court dates. They were never prosecuted, and they were finally freed when Trump took office. But you can actually hear the lawyers in Illinois salivating over this. And I'll tell you right now, if it was me, if I was a January 6th political prisoner, I would pack up my family immediately. I would move to Illinois, and I would start applying for state jobs. Oh, yes. And then when I was denied because of my status, I would sue the dog shit out of that state and Governor Pritzker. I would sue the asses off of them. I really would. Now, another, and here we go back to the illegal alien stuff. You remember I did a video the other day where Pritzker claimed that, we want ICE to come in. They can come into our prisons. They can take the illegal alien criminals out of the prisons. And I know damn well that there are none in the prisons because the state of Illinois, just like the state of New York, The state of Colorado, the state of Massachusetts, all of these liberal states, they are not keeping these people in jail. They are letting them out. That's why that young lady was burned to death in New York City just a few weeks ago on the subway, because Kathy Hochul, liberal Kathy Hochul, and her stupid asinine policies allowed that guy to be on the street. But now apparently Pritzker is allowing the illegal alien population in his state to change their names so that they cannot be targeted by ICE. They are protected if they get to change their name. And it appears now that, as I said, you can't even go into the prisons. They're being blocked. If there is anybody in those prisons, ICE is being blocked. So Pritzker is nothing but a great big fat ass liar. In this whole thing with him signing that order to deny January 6th political prisoners employment with state jobs is a massive mistake on his part. The state of Illinois is going to pay for that. Like I said, if I was one of those people, I would head to Illinois. I'd pack up my family and start applying for state jobs. I would, and I would sue the shit out of them. That's all I got for you today, folks. Hey, it is good to see everybody. If you're not subscribed on Substack, please subscribe. Substack, damnstraight.substack.com. I'm putting these out on YouTube, and believe it or not, I'm going to tell you the truth. I do better on YouTube right now than I do on Substack. So if you want to go out to YouTube and check me out, just look up Damn Straight. You'll find me. Good to see everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you later.